Hey, good evening. We're here live with my good friend Ryan Theriot, and if you guys don't know Ryan Theriot, you're obviously now from Louisiana. Local legend here, national legend in baseball, World Series champion with the LSU Tigers, multiple Major League Baseball World Series, and I always love talking to him because this guy's always hitting home runs at everything he does. And I think this new business that you guys have is probably the biggest home run yet. Yeah. I'm excited. Actually, your guy Jim is coming to the house this evening. Okay. Yeah, he actually might be over there right now doing the inspection to get everything ready to clean, completely purify, and take care of everything inside the house. But microbes, bacteria, mold, kind of a new product you guys are launching here that I think is going to revolutionize the mold remediation and just even overall wellness for people. Mm-hmm. So
no, it's cool. You failed to mention though Broadmoor Elementary and Sherwood Middle legend.
Oh, right. Yes, the only guy.
Sherwood Falcons, the Sherwood Middle Falcons. Shout out.
As a competitive person, you remember little things from your childhood. The only guy that ran the bases faster than me at Sherwood Middle.
Well, that's why we were buddies. We were both the fastest guys there.
And I remember you were like 2 seconds. It was like a ridiculous number. I didn't play baseball. I was just like
running bases,
naturally fast.
Yeah.
And then you look at your times, and I'm like still in the lead. And then the next day, I look up there, and there's like this other guy, Ryan Theriot, and he was like 2 seconds faster. I was like, holy shit, this guy's fast. It shows you like there's skill and talent are two different things. That obviously that's why you went on to win World Series and had a crazy baseball career. I never did any of that.
Well, but it was those were the good old days.
Sure, the middle days.
Yeah, you form those friendships and relationships, and that's why this stuff is so special and fun to me. Is you and I mean, this is, you think back now, man, it's 32, 33 years.
Yes, I know. Wow.
And I don't feel like it's been that long.
I don't even feel 30 yet.
I know.
I still don't want to be 30.
I know.
Much less be in our 40s now. We'll stop at 40. We'll just leave it there.
That's right. Yep.
So you and I were talking the other day. We've got the big event coming up on June 27th. Parish Roofing is going to be a big sponsor for our event at the Country Club of Louisiana. Obviously, we want all you guys to come out to that the morning of June 27th. Mark it on your calendar. Big real estate event there. But we were talking about the partnership and kind of the expansion. You guys were doing roofing, and now you've really kind of expanded that to be a full spectrum from roofing, construction, remodeling, and mold, and really overall just air quality and restoration.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of talk about that a little bit because my house, nice house, custom built home, and we had mold upstairs. My little boy always has a little cough.
Yep.
Always a little sinusy, and my wife's been having headaches for a while. And on the phone with Jim, he mentioned people having chronic headaches. And my wife was always going to her masseuse, try her neck, chiropractor. She takes her Excedrin, migraine. But she always gets these headaches. And that was one of the things that Jim said on the phone to me was, we're curing people who for years have had headaches.
Yeah.
And when we do the air quality test, and then when we treat the house, the headaches are gone.
Yeah. Well, look, the mold piece. Unfortunately, we live in South Louisiana, and there's mold everywhere. There's mold everywhere anyway, right? And so, you mentioned how those companies have kind of been merged together. I was always super interested in construction and just something that I enjoyed doing. Even when I was playing, did a lot up and down Highland Road here in Baton Rouge with some of the nicer houses you see, and was involved in a lot of that. Had a great partner, Ronald Lejeune, that kind of taught me that business and that industry, and it morphed into roofing and a little bit more specific, but from just being in the industry and in the game, that started, Brandon, probably in like, I would say 2004, 2005. So it's been a long time, and wasn't until retirement from baseball that I could really lock in and focus on it, and so you're kind of seeing the culmination of all that right now with Parish, right? So with the roofs, generally when there's a roof issue, it's water is the problem, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be a leak or something has happened where there's water intrusion, and we were noticing with that water intrusion, mold grows. When mold grows, sometimes you have sheetrock, drywall damage. Sometimes water gets on the floors. There was the scope of work wasn't just the roof, and we took all those principles and trades, have wrapped them underneath one umbrella, to where when the client calls, whether it's a commercial building, residential home, we can check all those boxes. Just so happened your roof is perfectly fine, but you had a heat differential issue
with my AC
with your AC units.
Yeah.
And so, which is a thing. I mean, like, that happens.
Yeah.
We fogged an entire elementary school because heat differential, mold was growing throughout the school, right? So the product is amazing. It's a dry fog, which is not proprietary. The proprietary piece is the way in which we deliver the dry fog. And it can literally, it gets in your AC vents. It touches every inch speck of your home. The sanitization piece is really neat. It cleans to a level that you've never experienced. But also, it will be a truly germ-free, clean environment.
Right.
And the mold will be 100% gone. And I can stand by that from a testing standpoint, third party, pre and post. We're really excited about the product.
Yeah.
One of the cool things about it, Brandon, is the price point. General remediation is pretty dang expensive, because you have to go in, you tear out, and you got to build back. Well, because we have a different way to get rid of the mold, we limit that expense tremendously.
Yeah.
And so clients have loved it. And we're really excited about it.
Well, and you guys can do everything from, again, like a small, just single family residential home like mine, to Jim was talking about, y'all did I don't know how many 100,000 square foot, commercial.
Sure.
I think it was in the millions of cubic feet that he was describing, this warehouse building that y'all had done. It was, like you said, it was an old stinky building, and they couldn't get the smell out.
That's right.
And it's because there was so much bacteria and mold and everything else. And after y'all did it smelled fresh, it was clean, the air tests were pure, and it was like a new building.
I can't go into detail and names of buildings because it wouldn't be right. But there are some buildings here locally that have had chronic mold issues year after year after year.
Yeah.
The news has documented it.
Right.
And we've been able to go in and solve that problem for them.
Yeah.
And so it's been pretty neat for me to see the last couple of years how that has taken off. And look, to couple that with the roof piece and with the construction piece, it just makes so much sense. And we're excited about the launch and the rebrand and the introduction to the community, and looking forward, man, to the event to kind of introduce it to the real estate agents that need a lot of those services.
I think that's going to be huge. People people selling their house. One thing we talked about that a lot of people don't do ahead of time is have an inspection done as the seller. Instead of waiting for the buyer to come and nitpick the house with their inspection, why not just hire your own inspector?
Right.
Then get Parish to come fix everything that the buyer's going to ask for anyway.
Sure.
And so when you go to sell your house, you can command top dollar. It's going to fly through the inspection with pass. Everything's going to pass. It's going to get a great review from the inspector if they hire their own separate inspector, or you just show them, look, here's an independent third-party inspection. Here's an independent third-party company that fixed everything on the checklist.
Yeah.
So you're getting a brand new home.
That's right. From electrical, plumbing, painting, all these things. We check all those boxes. And residential, commercial. So we're really excited about it. We've got a wonderful team. Everything that we do. I kind of treat it, I guess, my job in the company. is assembling that team. And I think
that's what you've done better than anybody I know is team building and getting the right people. When you were telling me about Jim and these guys, and you saw these guys treating a building, and you're like, that's brilliant. We need that.
I gotta have them.
Yeah.
And look, I think businesses struggle a lot of the time when the owners, the guys making the decisions, are afraid to let somebody in that's smarter than they are.
That's the wrong mindset.
Look, it is, man, and so we've been pretty intentional on assembling this team. You talk about the school bus analogy. You got to have them in the right seat on the bus, right? Just like in baseball, I use it because that's what I did for so long. But I can't have 9 first basemen on my team. And so everybody has a different role, and so what we've done here, man, is I feel like we have a solid group of human beings in the building that put the client first and understand that it's a long play. And look, man, we're from here.
Right.
And so I have to do a good job.
Yeah, your name will carry very far. And I learned this in the restaurant business growing up. A happy customer tells 3 or 4 people. An unhappy customer tells everybody.
That's right.
That was kind of the motto we went by in the restaurant business. And it's so true. If you think about negative news travels so much faster and further, and it's a sad reality because good news, that's why I try to do the opposite with our show. I like to keep everything positive. We don't do much politics or negative news. I want positive people, positive business, and keep it upbeat because, that's what people need to hear more of. And I think, like you said, your name in this town already is huge. So anything you do, you got to do it right.
You have to. That's right.
You don't have the luxury of messing up. So that's great because people that are going to do business with you already know, like, this is a name. This is someone we can trust.
This is what I'm getting. Look, you spend your whole life creating a reputation.
Yeah.
And you work diligently to make sure that it is pristine and it is what it is, right? And that takes a long time to create that trust. And then it takes 2 seconds of a bad decision, a bad choice to ruin the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something that we constantly kind of remind and preach, like, hey, listen, when you're out there, man, you're representing me. And,
right.
And I've worked my butt off.
Yeah.
To get to where when I call someone, they answer the phone. Because there's a trust there. There's something that wasn't built overnight. It took years to create that. So, look, like I said, we're so pumped up to bring this to the greater Baton Rouge area and really Gulf Coast. I mean, I would say.
Yeah, how far out do you guys go? Currently.
Yeah, currently it's Lake Charles to Pensacola, I would say.
So that's good.
Yeah,
good.
Northwise, it's been as far as like middle Alabama, a little bit middle to northern Alabama. So it's a pretty good footprint that we cover.
Yeah. Shreveport, northern Louisiana.
Yeah. But really that Gulf Coast is kind of the goal is to, because unfortunately
that's the wettest, most humid.
That and Mother Nature, right?
Yeah.
And you know what happens in the Gulf about this time of the year?
Yeah.
Storms start to spin up, and so from with the roofs and the restoration, the mold remediation, when storm spins up in the Gulf, we have to be able to touch those areas along the coast, and so yeah, I mean, I would say. Like I said, Lake Charles, we would go into Texas, probably Port Arthur area, all the way over.
Okay. One thing, too, I've worked with you in the past on small and bigger jobs. I had a tree hit my house after a storm, big storm, and you guys had tons of roofing jobs, whole roofing jobs.
Yeah.
I just had a branch hit the corner, and it was like an $1,100 repair.
Yeah.
But y'all got it done quick and still got it done for me because it was a house I was selling. Mm-hmm. And a lot of places that deal would have sat on the side because you got whole roof jobs everywhere after that storm, and that one little patch repair would have gotten put off to the side. But y'all got that knocked out quick, and we sold that house. So I've seen you and then do whole roof jobs for clients of ours that we've referred.
Well, the in that industry, it's not like I don't want to say it's kind of like buying a car, but not really. If it's you or I, because we change cars pretty fast. But it's a every 8 to 10 to 15 year deal. A homeowner or client, customer with commercial building is going to need a new roof.
Right.
So the repair piece is important, because although you may not need it at that moment, at some point you will. You may buy a home, storm may come through, and so when you start to think about, okay, I'm not chasing the immediate dollar.
Right.
I'm chasing the dollar in 12, 24, 36 months, right? And so that relationship has to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I like it when it starts with repairs, because now we're in that client's ecosystem.
Yeah.
And another repair happens, they call you, because a lot of, like you said, a lot of them don't necessarily want the small job, but that gives me an opportunity for a touch.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it is, and in this town, I mean, obviously relationships, building that, is everything. It was funny. I was wearing the Roni shirt, and I saw your profile picture had changed. Mm-hmm. And out of the blue, I got a call from Toby today, and we were talking mortgage. Uh-huh. And Parish came up. Yeah. And I noticed your profile picture had changed.
Sure.
And so it was just funny. I was like talking to him. I said, I'm doing a podcast with Theriot about Parish today.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Are you kidding?" And then so he was kidding. He brought me the shirt.
Sure,
yeah. So it was just it was just kind of funny how truly everything in this town, and if you do right and you take good care of people. But yeah, he had hit me up. So shout out to Toby Tom Place.
Yeah, and look, we got this back here because I want a mascot.
Yeah, you mentioned.
I think mascots are awesome. I want to dress somebody up in a mascot uniform, and I want to roll them around. I think it's great. And look, Toby has done Toby Tomplay we're talking about, but Toby's done some awesome work for us in the past in a few businesses, and we were talking with him. His wife Shelly, obviously, is the creator here, and a super talented artist.
Right.
And so we're starting that discussion. Like, hey, can Roni the tiger be our mascot? Like, is that a thing? Yeah. She's like, well, I don't know, maybe, sure, you want him to, And so I didn't even know he was a boy. Roni was a boy or a girl. So we've kind of going down that rabbit hole right now. Local people, wonderful product. You've seen these things take off. Blue Dog and different. And so I see that here. The unique thing about Roni is you have the ability with the sunglasses to
change out the sunglass reflection
to play a little bit.
So there was, and I don't remember the number numerically, but it was. I was reading. Like business marketing and mascot was one thing, like the Geico Gecko, their sales of course exploded with the gecko. Yeah. And when you start thinking, the caveman, and so, and then but mascots if you have a really good positive mascot that people can resonate with, it's a huge boost. Mm-hmm. That was one of the things. The other one was a cause. Like those Tom's shoes where they donate a pair of shoes to homeless people for every pair sold, I think is what they do, overseas. And they do some, so those were two things that they talk about in a business was a mascot or some kind of cause where there's something that people can attach to.
Well, we got Roni the roofer, so nobody can take Roni the roofer.
Roni the roofer's taken.
He is mine.
Off the table.
Damn it, y'all leave him alone. And I'm looking forward to getting the mascot.
Yeah, man.
Getting the mascot costume and making my partner Richard Tilley wear it.
Oh, that's gonna be hilarious. That's gonna be hilarious. Absolutely. So obviously you guys got roofing. Full spectrum construction, remodeling, the mold, air quality remediation. Another thing, the ProCharge EV. My wife will not go back to a gas powered car. Yeah. We talked about that when I pulled up. I was like, oh, you got an EV charger in front. And when you were doing this, I was talking to you about that. You guys are doing the EV installations too. Yeah,
the charger installations. Whether it be the level 2s, level 3s, superchargers, all that stuff. I kind of started going down that rabbit hole a few years ago, and I'll tell you what happened was I got in an EV, and I took a ride, and when I got out, I went, that was fun.
It is fun, isn't it?
I've been driving a car since I was 16 years old, but that was like nothing I'd ever experienced. and I'm just thinking, like, if people would just sit in one of these things and take a ride, they would. I gotta have one. I mean, it makes so much sense that every household should have one.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying they should go all electric, yet, because the grid system and the infrastructure and all that, what's coming. But, dude,
my wife drives so much. We love it.
And you go in your garage at night and you plug it up and you wake up in the morning and it's full.
Yep.
Who wants to go to the gas station at 8 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah. Or again, no secret, we have attractive wives. Do you want her stopping for gas
no chance.
in the wrong part of town
not.
at 9, 10 o'clock at night when she's showing houses? Also, they're both in real estate.
That's right.
They drive all the time. My wife will not go back to a gas-powered car.
Yeah. So we had an opportunity with our partners to get a distribution agreement with what we feel is one of the better ones, Enolex, and so we've installed a ton around town. We've installed a ton really in the region. I wouldn't say just here.
Yeah.
We have an electrical company as well, and so that's made that kind of easy. And look, fingers crossed, the cars show up. Unfortunately, I can't really dictate, what Ford and the big boys, produce, because really I think that's who's going to dictate the market. Tesla's done everything they could do and more, but it's not going to be until you see the Ford, Chevy, GM. Once they start
and they're coming.
Once they hit the road, man, you're gonna really see an uptick in that, I think.
I had a buddy got the Ford Lightning, and my wife's got the Porsche Taycan.
Yeah.
And then you're starting to see some of the like Toyota and the Buick and the
Cadillac's beautiful.
The Cadillac,
Lyric.
The Lyric is cool.
It is.
The Lyric is very cool.
BMW's nice. Mercedes is really nice.
The Mercedes is nice. It's like an S-Class, but all electric with even more features inside.
Yeah.
So the EVs are absolutely, like you said. I'm one that agrees. Every household should have one of each. And I can't make up my mind now. I've had some fun twin turbo V8.
Yeah.
I've had a twin turbo V12. I've had some fun cars, but nothing is any more exhilarating or fun than that Porsche. It's rocket fast. It's dead silent when you want to just cruise on the interstate. Smooth as silk, but it drives like a race car when you want it to.
That's the way I explain it to people that have never sat in one or ridden in one. It's like when you have a power drill and you're going to drill something.
Instant torque.
It's just like you. There is no lag, because I'm like you. I've had the
we've had fast car.
But there was always that little, and then you get going. This is immediate. It's fun, and look, I think what happened was it was made to be a political issue.
Oh God,
I do.
They do such a good job of making everything political.
Right, but I think if it would have been introduced like the iPhone, for instance.
Yeah.
The iPhone hits the market. We all have flip phones or Blackberries.
Yeah,
then the iPhone hits the market and we go, oh my God, this is so much better.
Yes.
It's just better.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that the Ford F-150, I don't care if it's King Ranch or what, when you drive that, is better than the Ford Lightning. You are a liar if you say that.
100%.
It's got more torque, goes faster.
It has more towing capacity. Which is nuts.
Yeah. And then the upkeep. You never change the oil.
My wife's car is never in the shop.
That's right.
And she picks on me because my cars are always in the shop. I had a video yesterday of me broken down on the side of my new Audi.
Yeah.
The damn generator went out.
Yep.
It's called a starter generator, which is an overpriced alternator, essentially. And I had to get rescued. Shout out to Vinny Carollo with Vinny's Exotics.
There you go, Vinny.
Vinny bailed me out of a jam. My wife had to pick me up yesterday from Vinny's, and she always laughs at me because she's always on the go.
That's right.
Almost 50,000 miles on her car, and it's never been in a shop.
I tell you, man, they're cool.
They're great, man. So the EV charging. So y'all do residential?
Yeah.
and commercial.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can do the
Installs.
tap to pay, and so businesses can use that and monetize
A little money, yeah, a little
Uh,
revenue generation.
We have one out here that it does okay. There's always somebody, not say always, but a lot of times somebody charged up parking. But really, I believe that the building code will be as such. You'll need a 220 in your garage, everybody. And that's really all that I need to install it.
Right.
And why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You have it in your garage. You charge up in the evening.
A lot of washer dryers need a 220 anyway.
That's it. And so it's very inexpensive.
Yeah.
Let's say the cost of the charger and install, it pays for itself, what you would save in gas in less than 6 months. So
yeah, and if you drive a lot like we do, it paid for itself in a month.
I guarantee it.
It paid for itself in a month for what the charger, the install cost. She was, because again, we didn't have practical cars as far as gas mileage. Right. So I always laugh. My favorite question, like I'd have these ridiculous cars. What kind of gas mileage do you get? And I always laugh. I go, really?
Yeah, you think I bought this thing for gas mileage?
I said, I don't know, and I don't want to know. Yeah. I said, because I drive this thing way too fast, so the gas mileage is awful.
That's right.
But her car, like she goes, I don't spend any money on gas. Yeah, she hadn't bought. She hates when she has.
What's the range on that one?
She gets about 210 miles to a charge.
So I think once they can get to that 350.
Yeah, there's some. I think like the big ones. I think the Tesla truck. I think it's going to get there. I think it's showing like a true, like there's the rating, but then there's true miles.
Yeah.
And what I noticed with her Porsche was it was true miles. Like if it says 2 something, we're going to get close to 200 miles on that charge versus her first electric we had. It was like a 2 to 1. Like I noticed, like if it said 200, you're getting about 100, 125 miles to that. It ran a little bit less efficiently. And I mean, we drive and I drive that Porsche pretty fast.
Right.
I don't set the cruise at 65. I noticed that it's pretty much even at 85 or whatever on the interstate, it still gets pretty much the same mileage, which is nice. Some of the other EVs, you get over 65, it just starts draining the battery. But they're amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool.
That's like I said, man, that's a great business as well. I think you're probably one of the only installers in the area for that.
Yeah, I think. I mean, look, it's to install. It's not a big deal. It's not hard to do. The electricians can do that and get it done, and to be able to sell certain chargers, and it's ever evolving. You go to the Clean Fuel Summit, and we've been attendees there for the last couple of years. It's pretty interesting to see like some of the stuff on the horizon. You can just set your phone on a charging pad.
Yeah.
So the same thing will be there for vehicles.
Right.
You drive in your garage.
Pull in. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah. No. Like I said, it's the future, and it's not in the future. It's the present.
Oh yeah.
And now the thing too is, you don't have to spend 6 figures anymore on an EV. Like they've got Tesla, and some of the regular ones, 30, 40, 50 grand now. And when you figure what you saved in gas.
Chevy has an EV coming in the 20s.
In the 20s. That's going to be revolutionary because you can pick up some used ones there, but to pick up something new at that price point, affordable, that was the big knock. Like I would joke with my wife sometimes. She's like, I was like, you're not practical. You're in a Porsche. I was like, you're not economical. We would laugh. But at the end of the day, man, she was spending when she would drive my truck, 150, 200 a week.
Oh yeah,
on gas.
Absolutely.
So that's, like I said, that's gonna be a game changer, and you guys have that. Now with Parish all under one roof, man. I mean, what you guys are doing, and I really can't wait to talk more like at the event after Richard's treated the house.
Yeah.
Because I'm really anxious to see Jennifer's headaches, Asher's allergies, and what it does for that. Because as a father, that's been a big concern for me, is his health. And I worry, is it something in the house? I've had that conversation with her. I'm like, he's got that little dry cough.
He's always sick,
He's got sinusy issues. And when he was in Florida last week with his buddy, he didn't have them out at the beach. I was like, it's just air we breathe, the something in the house maybe. So, as a parent, to invest that little bit of money to get your house tested, treated, for the health and wellness of your family, like that to me, there's no price tag on that.
The sanitization piece, we've spoken to sports organizations. We just said that. You gotta be careful what names you use, but to go into a locker room.
Yes,
okay,
when you said that.
Because once, if you got 50 dudes in a locker room, one person's sick, everybody's sick. Staff.
I was just about to say, I do jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
And man, they had a guy, our coach posted something on it. He's like, if you have anything, a skin irritation or anything, don't come in the gym.
Yeah, just quit being nasty.
And I saw this dude, he had a big, looked like a giant ringworm on his leg, and I'm like,
bro, get this dude out of here, man.
I'm not grappling with this dude. Get out of here. Go home.
I know. So that's a thing. So to be able to come into a locker room to sanitize it, football, they're pads. Synthetic turf fields, because or inside gyms where you have the turf. Because when you're training, working out, you're spitting and snorting and sweating and sneezing, and so you take that. You fog it. I mean, it kills everything. Not to mention what that stuff smells like, right?
Oh,
So, and the smell piece for me was the game changer. I had a rent house. Richard and I had a rent. We just couldn't figure out what was smelling terrible, and we went and fogged it, and like overnight, the thing was smelling perfect. I say overnight. In 2 hours when we were finished fogging, the smell was totally gone. So. We're excited about that technology, and look, it's been around for a while.
Just improved it.
Well, I think to introduce it to people that just never knew that was an opportunity or that was there. We learned a lot during COVID from a cleanliness standpoint, I think, and how to be intentional on washing hands and making sure, and so that got people on high alert,
right?
And so. So it's given us the ability to start a talking point, and then once their proof of concept is there, it's game over.
Yeah. No, like I said, man, I think what you guys are bringing is everything really that's needed right now in our space, and especially like mortgage real estate. Like these are all the services like in one, so you can call one person.
Sure.
That was one issue. My wife and your wife too. They get the inspection report. And then they got to get with 6 different contractors to fix the electrical, the plumbing, this, that, and she's playing general contractor.
Yeah, she's a real estate agent.
Yeah. To get everything fixed, and now it's one phone call.
Yeah.
Hey Ryan, here's the punch list. When can y'all get out here?
Yeah. And one thing that I didn't mention, which is really neat, we were the first fortified roofing contractor in the state of Louisiana, and so fortified is a program that is being heavily invested in from the state level, as also the federal level, to make sure that the roofs on your home can withstand what's coming, from a storm standpoint. The insurance companies love it because now the product up there is much more substantial.
They're not replacing it every other
That's right. We've always kind of been on the forefront or front end, trying to be different. The way that we install those roofs from the fortified standpoint, there's a savings on the premiums that you pay. If you have a fortified roof, an inspection has to take place, and they give you a certificate and all that stuff.
Really? Because insurance premiums, probably 80%, if not 100% of people listening, their insurance is going up 20, 30, or even doubled.
There is a substantial,
in the last couple of years,
substantial savings. Now each carrier is different on how much percentage you save, but it is substantial if you can produce that fortified certificate.
Oh yeah, I'm having issues now with roofs over 10 years old.
Got to change them.
I am having.
They won't write the policy.
There's very few carriers that will even write a policy, and 10 years is not old for a roof.
No.
And so if you do get the insurance written and the roof's over 10 years old, the premiums pretty much double, and the roof's not covered.
That's right.
So I'm seeing that, and it's an affordability killer for your average buyer that's looking at a $150 to say $300,000 home, and they have a certain monthly budget in mind.
That's right.
And insurance that used to be $1,500 a year is now $4,000, $5,000 on the same house. And all of a sudden, that house note that would have been $1,500 is $2,000 just because of the insurance difference. And now they can't buy the house.
No, it's a real thing. We offer financing for that reason. I mean, who's got $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 just laying around? Okay, we'll go change the roof. No big deal. So to be able to finance that is very important for the homeowners when you're trying to get in that new home, because it's what you say is true. That call happens. If it happens, once a day, it happens 10 times a day. Mm-hmm. Where somebody will call the office and say, "Hey, listen, I'm about to get dropped by my insurance because my roof is over 10 years old. They don't want to rewrite the policy. I need a new roof, but I can't. I mean, can somebody give me an estimate how much it's going to cost?" And then families just aren't prepared to write that check, man.
Not in the current environment.
So the financing piece is important there in that regard. But you're right. That's our kind of fortified. I mentioned it, but that's where the state is going. It's been adopted. Excuse me. It's been adopted in some other states prior to Louisiana. You see it in Mississippi Gulf Coast quite a bit. In Florida, actually, their building code is much more strict. Right. In the way that the roof is assembled and put on. And thank goodness now Louisiana's going, okay, you guys have to do a better job.
You need to follow that.
When you follow this, you do a better job, because insurance companies, they're leaving. They left. We're trying to get them to come back.
That's the issue. The reason our insurance premiums are through the roof is because all the ones that had good premiums left.
Yeah.
Because they were getting, after the storms, they were getting killed.
They weren't getting killed. So now we put a better product out there that'll entice them to come back. And the Fortify program is actually, I say sponsored, but it was created by some of the bigger players in the insurance world.
Right.
So because they don't want to leave. They want to write the policies.
Yeah.
But
they're not in business to lose money.
That's right. That's right. They're in business to make the Geico dude famous.
Yeah, the little lizard. And then now you got
Ronnie the Roofer's going to be huge.
Ronnie the Roofer?
I can't wait for Ronnie the Roofer's costume.
Did y'all order it yet?
No.
Oh, I guess Shelly's got to help design it. You got to get her.
She's brilliant, man.
They got those mascots. I mean, you were in pro sports. The mascot companies that make those mascots. That'll be fun.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
That'll be a lot of fun.
It's going to be fun.
Oh, I can't wait, dude. I can't wait to see Richard in that. That's going to be hysterical. You got to let me know when it comes.
Oh, yeah.
So, tell everybody where to find you. Obviously, I mean, they can find you all over social media, but where do they find you guys? Where are you located?
So right now, our office over here on Perkins Road, 11019 Perkins Road, but we actually just purchased a new building. So we are on Highlandia.
Yeah.
Some interstate frontage, which is great.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about that. That office building is in the middle of renovation, so I would say, we're probably 45 days away from being in there.
That's the building across from Blue Bayou?
It is. It's great. I can watch, Blue Bayou is one of my favorite places on the planet, so I can watch people slide down the slides. It's just great. So we are literally directly across there, and so yeah, man, we grew so fast, kind of on top of each other here now, but parishbuilt.com is the website.
Okay.
You can learn about the dry fogging process, which you and I spoke about earlier. Obviously, roofing and any of the other things that we do is you can check us out there, and then all the social media. Right. At Parish Built, and follow us. We try to keep the content super fresh, and of course Matt Moscono every day. Scone shout us out. And so, man, we're trying to be everywhere, and look forward to growing this thing.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to blow up for sure, and I think the real estate market at our event is going to be huge to really make the big announcement there, and obviously anything we can do to help you guys.
Yeah, look forward to being there on the 27th.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, so thanks again for coming on.
No problem, bro.
Thank you guys for tuning in every week to Financial Fitness. We'll be back next Monday at our normal time, 6 p.m. Central Time on Monday. So you guys come see us next week. Brian Moses will be our guest next week. He's actually our keynote speaker at the event. He's he was the #2 real estate agent in the world for a long time. And he's going to be talking about the big NAR settlement and how to get buyer's agency. Your wife definitely going to want to be there for this. It's going to be a huge, since it's the biggest topic in real estate right now. So we got Brian Moses on air with us next week. So you guys stay tuned.